Okay, so here we are. We are now going to create our first page, actual page, right? Well, what do we want here? We want when we press play that we see the first page of the site. So that page already exists, right? So the view page that we're looking at is the home index page. So this page that just says hello world right now is the page that is the home page of the Green Book. It's the list of persons in the database. So let's change this to 1, 2, 3 green pages. Okay, so now we're going to draw out the page. Well, what are we using to draw out the page? We need a model to draw out the page, right? Well, first of all, we need to add a link between this project and the project that has the database objects in it, right? So here we'll say references, add reference, and we'll just use Green Pages MVC lib. Okay, so that's good. So now we can use those objects here. So this page will have a model that is a list of persons, right? So that's Green Pages MVC lib dot person. So that is the model for this page, right? That is what we are displaying on this page, right? Well, first of all, let's figure out how are we going to send this model to the page. Well, back on the home controller, here we have the index page. We need to load in a database context. We need to set a connection string from a configuration file on this page. And then we need to load in the list of persons that are in the database. And then we need to send that to the view, right? So first problem is there's no persons in the database, right? So of course here we can just add them manually. So if you say view data, I'm just going to add one right now. Michael Mayo, it's me. Okay, so now there's a person in the database. Now, how do I get it out of the database? Like I said, you're going to set the DB context. So here we'll make a property so we can use it on the entire page. So here, prop. What kind of prop is it? It is Green Pages MVC lib dot. Sorry, Green Pages. Entities. And we're just going to call this DB context. Like capital DB. You know, Control Shift Upper does uppercase. Control Upper does lowercase. Shift Upper. That's only in Visual Studio. I get mad that it's not everywhere. So here, we could just return this dot DB context dot persons to list. Right, that would be enough. Right. But it's not really enough. Why isn't it really enough? Because we're going to be using this DB context everywhere, right? And so first of all, let's go ahead and make the connection string we want to do. So you have to use an entity base. Connection builder. I think it's just entity connection builder. And then I can do the old trick here. Nope. Entity connection string builder, maybe. Scroll over it, show potential fixes. There it is. So entity connection string builder, entity string equals new entity connection string builder. Entity string dot provider equals system dot data dot SQL client. And you can just Google this stuff, right? I mean, that's all I did. Googled it and I learned how to do it, right? And actually right now I'm cheating, of course, I'm looking at a cheat sheet. Provider connection string equals system configuration manager. Sorry, configuration manager. Dot connection strings. And we'll just call it green pages con string conster dot connection string. Right, entity string dot metadata. These are three things you need to set on this. And again, I just got this by Googling it, right? So this is another thing that we'll get from system configuration manager. App settings. And we'll call this entity, or we'll call green pages metadata. Okay, and then we can set entity string. We could say this dot db context dot configuration. This dot db context. We could set it afterwards, or we can just initialize it with it. Equals new green pages entities with entity string dot connection string. Right now, you see that's red underlined. There's a reason for that. Sorry. The reason is we didn't put on our entities class any initializer with a string. So here we want to say string connection string base connection string, and that should do it. Okay, so now this allows us to pass connection string through to the creation of the object, right? Now, again, this is just on the index, right? Maybe we want to create a method here, but then I'm going to have other controllers. I'm going to have a person controller. I'm going to have a phone controller, phone number controller. I'm going to have an address controller, email address controller. Doesn't it make more sense for me to do this on one object and then make all of these objects be able to call it? Well, we can do that. So here we're going to go controllers. We're going to create a new controller. We're going to call it, we're going to make it empty. We're going to call it base controller. And this does stuff like creates folders for us and stuff. We're going to delete that stuff, right? We don't care about the folder because we're not actually creating any views here. This is a base object that we can create stuff from. So here, go to controller. We're going to copy all this code into here. We don't want an actual result. We're just doing this as an initializer on base controller. This. So now we're doing this in one place, right? And then finally, what we got to do is we have to actually set these values in our web config file. So here there is no setting section for connection strings. So here we'll do connection strings. Oh, that's config settings sections. So sorry. It's in here. I'll do it right before app settings. Connection strings. Add name equals green pages conster. String equals some value. Well, we know what the value is, right? It's 30s. We can just get it from right here. So there's our connection string. What is our, so we need one for green pages metadata in the app settings section. So here, add key equals flavan value equals, we need some value in here. So this is where it gets a little tough. We created So this is all done by the code behind thing. So it did it in MVC lib and it put it in this app config file. And it's this metadata equals all the way to provider equals. So just control C that, and put that in here, and you're good to go. So that's simple. Okay. So far, all we have done is implemented a base controller. Now, all of our controllers that we create, home controller included, will be extensions of base controller. Nothing new there, right? We don't need this anymore because it's in every one of them. And this code becomes as simple as this. And we don't have to do any more initialization of this stuff. So now we're returning a view of persons. And then on the actual index page, we can now draw out the people, right? So how do we do that? Well, cheat sheet. So we want, I'm going to just start in class. Row. I'm just going to copy directly off my cheat sheet because I already did this once. Div class equals text center. So first we have an a href equals. So we're going to have a person create link at the very top of the page. And that's going to go to person/edit without an ID, which means create me a new person. I'm not giving you an ID because I want it to be a new one. So person, remember this will be a new controller that we'll create later called person. It'll have a method on it called edit. We could have a create separate, but we'll just do edit because it keeps it simple for the number of things that are being created for this. So create person, create new person. So capitalized versus not capitalized is a style choice. A lot of this stuff. I have a friend who really hates capitalization of every single letter in something that is supposed to be like a sentence. So I'm going to stick with it. Table. We're going to do style inline. Style inline is not a very good practice. But we're doing it anyway because we're not going crazy with this. And you should always do the border inside of style tag as well. So I'm really getting a little sloppy here. So the style here, I'm just going to make it with 800. And left. Auto margin. Great. And that's good enough. Okay, so we got some style there. Now we're going to start with a TH for T header. So TH, T header, row for the header, and TD, I'm sorry, TH. First, TH, last, name, H, actions. We can do the body. We need 3 cells, obviously. Row, TD, D. Okay, and we're going to have in the first one the person's first name. So this is going to be in a loop, right? What is our loop of? It's of persons. So very easy here. So now we can enter our code block. We can say for each green pages lib person. No, we'll do capital person because this will be easier later. In model, because it is a list of persons. Right? No problem there. we're going to have each one of them is going to be a row. So we'll have the body start above this code block. And then we're going to do our TRs inside the code block. So each row of the table will be in the code block. TD, say at HTML raw. So just give me the raw output. So if somebody's name has a greater than sign or less than sign that messes with the HTML, it'll draw it out as raw. That's what we want, right? Person dot first name. Person dot last name. And then finally, we're going to do an unordered list for the actions that can be done. So LI, we're going to have 3 actions: edit, delete, and details. So here, a href equals slash person. On the person object, I want to see the details. Slash, and I can do at my person dot person ID. And this is what I was talking about before with IDs and passing them into. So right now, this is the person controller, the details method, and it's passing in and something that is actually called lowercase ID person ID, right? So here, I'm going to say details. Do another one of these. It's going to be edit. And the other one's going to be delete. And that is the entire page. So the code is theoretically 100% done. What's the chances it actually runs? Cross your fingers. And it ran. Not an issue. As you see here, it did details 1, edit 1, and delete 1. See down in the right-hand corner or the left-hand corner when I hover over these, right? So that's it. Next thing we'll do is we'll do the details page and then the edit page and delete. And then inside the details, you'll see there's going to be a list, the details about the person, and then their list of phone numbers, email addresses, and addresses. And each one of those will have links next to them to edit and delete those. So that's the idea. So that'll be in the next video. That's all for this one.